The hour before you fall asleep may be doing more to your heart, your brain, and your lifespan than the 12 hours you're awake. It's a strange thought, isn't it? We spend all day thinking about what to eat, how much exercise to get, and whether we're drinking enough water, but almost no one asks, what am I giving my body in the last hour of the day? Most men over 60 don't realize that this 60-minute window is a control panel for their health. Your blood pressure, your memory, your hormone balance, even the way your arteries age, they all take cues from what you do between 9 and 10 p.m. And here's the part no one talks about. If you're filling that hour with the wrong signals, bright lights, heavy snacks, late-night stress, you may be telling your body to skip its most important repair work. So let me ask you directly, do you know what your body is actually doing between 9 and 10 p.m.? Because whether you realize it or not, that single hour could be quietly adding years to your life, or slowly taking them away. Picture this. It's 9:15 on a quiet Tuesday night in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Harold, 72 years old, sits in his favorite recliner. The TV flickers across the room, casting a cold blue light on his face. In one hand, a half-empty bag of salty chips. In the other, the remote, his thumb idly flipping through channels even though he's not really watching. The house is silent except for the low hum of the television. His wife went to bed an hour ago. Outside, the neighborhood has gone still. To Harold, this feels harmless, even comforting. It's the way he's ended most nights for years. But inside his body, something very different is happening. His blood pressure, which should be slowly drifting down, is spiking with every handful of sodium-packed snacks. His brain, which should be switching on its nightly cleanup crew, is being told by the TV's blue light to stay awake and alert. His heart is working harder when it should be resting and repairing. Harold doesn't feel any of this in the moment. No alarm bells, no warnings. But these small nightly habits are quietly aging him, one evening at a time. I'm Dr. Catherine Rocker, and for more than 3 decades I've sat across from men just like Harold, men in their 60s, 70s, even 80s, who believed their evenings were harmless. They'd tell me about their morning walks, the salads they had for lunch, and how they didn't really do much at night, and yet, when I looked at their blood pressure logs, their sleep patterns, or the way their energy crashed halfway through the next day, the picture told a very different story. What most of them didn't realize is that the body doesn't just shut down at night, it shifts into the most important maintenance mode of the day. And the signals you send it in that final hour can either unlock that repair process or slam the door on it. The problem? The signs of harm don't show up right away. There's no pain, no sudden collapse. Instead, it's slow erosion, a few points higher on your blood pressure this year, a little more stiffness in the morning, a touch more forgetfulness creeping in. I've learned that the most dangerous habits are the ones that feel completely normal. Because you don't fix what you don't notice. Here's what most men over 60 never hear from their doctor. Your body has a night shift crew. And they only clock in when the day starts to wind down. Around 9 p.m., a healthy body begins a quiet but powerful transition. Your blood pressure naturally drifts lower, giving your heart a break after working all day. Your brain flips on its glymphatic system, a cleaning network that washes away waste proteins linked to memory loss and cognitive decline. Your pituitary gland prepares to release growth hormone, which signals your muscles, joints, and blood vessels to repair and rebuild. It's a carefully timed operation. Each worker in this crew, your heart, your brain, your hormones, has a specific job and a strict schedule. But here's the catch. If you fill that last hour with bright screens, heavy meals, alcohol, or late-night stress, you're essentially sending your night crew home before they've even started. It's like asking road repair workers to fix a highway while traffic is still flying by at full speed. the job either doesn't get done, or it's done badly. When that happens night after night, you miss out on the repairs that keep your heart strong, your brain sharp, and your body resilient. And over months and years, that gap shows up as faster aging, in ways you can feel and see. A few months ago, I met a patient named Leonard, age 69, from a small town in Ohio. He came in for a routine checkup, but as we talked, I noticed the fatigue in his voice. "Doc, I'm just slowing down," he said. I guess it's normal at my age, so I asked him to walk me through a typical evening. He thought for a moment and shrugged, "Not much. I watch TV, maybe have a snack. Then head to bed around midnight." That's when I leaned forward and asked a question he'd never heard from any doctor before. "What do you think your body needs most from you in the last hour before bed?" He paused. I don't know, I've never thought about it." That night, Leonard decided to experiment. Instead of his usual chips and late-night news, he made a small cup of chamomile tea, dimmed the lights in his living room, and read a few pages of an old paperback before turning in at 10:30. It wasn't a big overhaul. Just one small ritual. But within a week, Leonard noticed something he hadn't felt in years. He was waking up before his alarm, with a lightness in his body and a calm he couldn't explain. That single decision, swapping late-night noise for a quiet, intentional ritual, set off a chain reaction in Leonard's life. After just a few nights, his sleep became deeper and more consistent. He wasn't waking up to use the bathroom as often, and when morning came, he felt genuinely rested. With better sleep came more energy. And with more energy, Leonard found himself taking his morning walks again, the ones he'd slowly stopped because he didn't feel up to it. Within 2 weeks, his blood pressure readings were the lowest they'd been in 5 years. He told me he no longer needed that second cup of coffee just to feel alert by mid-morning. But what struck me most wasn't the numbers, it was his wife's comment during a follow-up visit. She smiled and said, "He's laughing more. He's lighter somehow. It's like I got my husband back." That's the thing about small, smart changes, they rarely stay small. One better habit at night can create ripples you feel in your energy, your mood, and even your relationships. Leonard didn't try to change everything at once. He simply paid attention to how he felt after that first ritual, and let the results guide his next steps. A week later, he replaced the late-night TV news with a light novel he'd been meaning to read for years. Instead of scrolling on his phone before bed, he kept it charging in another room, removing the temptation of bright screens and late-night headlines. By the third week, Leonard had added herbal tea to his rotation, peppermint some nights, lemon balm on others, and noticed how each helped him unwind in a different way. He even began writing down 3 small things he was grateful for before turning off the lights. None of these changes felt like chores. They were choices he wanted to make because of how good his mornings had started to feel. And that's the beauty of it. When one small habit works, your body and mind naturally ask for more of the same. Over time, these simple choices formed his personal evening system, a routine that signaled to his body, it's safe to rest, it's time to repair. Now, I want you to picture yourself in Leonard's place. 7 nights from now, it's 10 p.m., and instead of a blaring TV or a late-night snack, you're sitting in a softly lit room, a warm cup of tea in your hands, feeling your shoulders drop as the day slips away. You fall asleep faster than you have in months. 14 nights from now, you wake up before your alarm, no grogginess, no heaviness in your legs. Your blood pressure numbers in the morning are steadier. You catch yourself feeling more patient, with your spouse, your kids, even with yourself. 30 nights from now, you hardly remember what it felt like to drag yourself out of bed. You're walking farther in the mornings. Your mind feels clearer when you talk to friends. And when you look in the mirror, you notice something subtle but undeniable, a brightness in your eyes, a steadiness in your energy. This isn't wishful thinking. It's the natural result of giving your body the signals it's been waiting for every single night. So let's go back to that question I asked at the start. Do you know what your body is actually doing between 9 and 10 p.m.? Every night, you have a choice. You can fill that hour with noise, bright light, and habits that quietly steal your best years, or you can make it the most powerful, life-extending hour of your day. Leonard chose to change just one thing, and that single choice opened the door to better sleep, steadier blood pressure, sharper focus, and a renewed sense of joy in his life. You don't need to change everything at once. Just start tonight. Pick one ritual, turn down the lights, brew a cup of herbal tea, or write down 3 things you're grateful for. Do it for your heart. Do it for your brain. Do it for the years you still want to live, fully and on your terms. And if you know a friend, a brother, or a neighbor who could use a few more good years, share this with him. Because every man over 60 deserves to know that the path to a longer, stronger life might begin in the quietest hour of his day.